Okay, so let's get into it. Today we are doing a deep dive into some really fascinating material.
Mm,
We're looking at the work of Sugatuchi, specifically his whole concept of the creation of desired reality.
right.
And this is really for you if you're someone who, you get the basic principle. You understand that thoughts materialize.
You've heard it a million times.
Exactly. But you just keep hitting a wall. You're struggling to actually make it work in your own life.
Mhm.
This deep dive is, well, it's basically custom tailored for you.
And the timing for this discussion is, I think, really critical, especially when you look at the context of the source material itself.
What do you mean?
Well, this work is from 2021, so it's explicitly talking about a period of global crisis. The pandemic, all the societal
Out
difficulty,
of pressure.
intense pressure. And Suka's argument is that the reality we all experienced then and the one we're in now isn't random. It's structured by our deeply held, fixed ideas, what he calls kotekanen,
Oh, shared
those
beliefs.
shared beliefs, and really the entire collective consciousness.
So this is way beyond just, writing down a goal and hoping for the best. We're talking
Yeah.
about a kind of vast shared operating system.
That's a great way to put it, an operating system of beliefs that dictates what feels possible and what feels
Oh, yeah.
impossible.
So our mission today is to figure out why so many of us struggle to manifest what we want, even when we think we know the rules.
Hmm.
And maybe more importantly, how we can shift our consciousness away from defense.
Fighting back.
Yeah, from that default setting of defense to one of pure joy and actual creation.
Exactly. And we have to hit that core tension right at the start. If we're the creators of our reality, why is so much of our time spent just trying to survive the reality we've apparently already created?
Why are we always on defense?
Always.
And this is where Suj really nails, I think, the fundamental misplacement of our energy.
Mm-hmm.
He observes that people spend their single most valuable resource, their time, their focus, their energy, fighting the causes of suffering,
Not creating joy.
not creating joy. They're focused on elimination.
And this impulse, he says, is driven entirely by what he calls the ego consciousness, or jiga ishiki.
Okay.
The ego is, it just fundamentally convinced that the only path to happiness is to identify every potential problem, every threat, and then, implement a countermeasure for it.
It's always scanning.
It's
Yeah.
constantly running this exhaustive mental scan. What do I need to countermeasure next, and how am I going to do it?
And you see this everywhere. Just look at your to-do list. I mean, 90% of it is probably preventative.
For sure.
You're working hard so you don't fail.
Yeah.
You're paying your bills so you don't tank your credit.
That's the mechanism right there in action.
Yeah.
If you feel tired, the ego's immediate goal isn't to create restfulness, it's to eliminate the cause of the tiredness.
Right.
If you fear financial instability, the goal is to eliminate the cause of that instability. And that sounds responsible, right? But the core energy is directed against a negative,
Yeah.
against an absence.
Okay, but let's push back on that for a second. Let's use the criticism example from the source. If I get criticized at work, that feels bad. It's a real external thing. Isn't it just responsible to figure out how to avoid that happening again?
It seems like it.
I mean, if I don't defend myself, I'm just going to get steamrolled.
And that's a completely natural question. It's precisely where the ego traps us.
How so?
You dedicate all this time and effort to the countermeasure avoiding criticism, and you're thinking, okay, once the criticism stops, then I can finally be successful. Then I can shine.
Sure.
But what actually happens? You might succeed. You might remove the cause of the dullness, but you've allocated zero time, zero effort toward the actual creation of radiance or joy.
Oh, I see.
You just move from being criticized to neutral, which is a state of non-suffering. It's not active happiness.
So it's an energy drain that's just disguised as effective problem solving. We
Yeah.
confuse the end of pain with the beginning of joy.
We do.
So the big takeaway here is that our precious time is just habitually spent in this countermeasure loop. Eliminating the causes of suffering instead of creating happiness. That's a huge shift in focus.
It is, and it leads us right into the second big hurdle, which is a collective one. It's the fixed idea that demands endurance. Gaimen.
Ah, yes.
This is where that individual habit of fighting suffering gets, baked into the structure of our collective reality.
The dilemma of sacrifice. Sujay has that car analogy, which I think everyone who's ever saved up for something will get. You ask someone what they want, they say, a new car. Great. To get it, they have to save money now. But then you ask them, do you want to be saving money?
And they say no. Of course not. But they feel like they have no choice.
Shikata
That phrase right there, shikata ga nai, it can't be helped, or no choice, that's the smoking gun. It exposes the fixed idea.
which is,
I must endure, I must sacrifice now to get something good in the future. It's this unspoken foundational belief that comfort can only be earned through discomfort.
okay, I have to challenge this, though. I mean, we live in a world with real constraints. Gravity, taxes, economic reality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to sacrifice.
Of course.
Are we really suggesting a person can just wish for a car without saving any money? Isn't that just, I don't know, naive?
So Suja's argument is a bit more subtle than that. He's saying, what if our entire collective consciousness holds the fixed belief that struggle and endurance are the price of admission for gain?
Okay.
Then reality, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, basically just obliges. It creates a world where, in fact, endurance is necessary.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy orchestrated by that shared Kure Kanon. The external pressures we feel are, in this view, just mirrors of our internal shared beliefs.
Wow, that makes the whole crisis context he was writing in even more terrifying.
How so?
Well, if during a global pandemic, the collective consciousness of gammon, of endurance becomes super prominent,
Which it
then reality will actually require more endurance from everyone, which just validates the fixed idea and strengthens the trap.
It becomes a vicious cycle. And this brings us to a really crucial point about manifestation. It's not just about what you do on the surface.
Right. It's about the underlying mindset,
Yeah.
what's the term?
A sunman.
The sunan. Can you break that down maybe with an example?
Sure. Tsujing makes this point that if a person were to say, just ignore all precautions during that time, do what they like.
Right.
But at the same time, they were holding this deep underlying thought, this synonym of fear of getting sick, fear of judgment. They will still manifest a reality that is shaped by that fear. Their action might look like freedom, but their mindset is pure bondage.
So on the flip side, someone who is diligently following all the rules, but their underlying mindset, their sunan, is one of internal comfort, of kokachiosa,
Yes.
of trust. They're actually manifesting a totally different reality than the person next to them doing the exact same actions, but out of crippling fear.
Precisely. The core issue is always the dominant thought pattern. The action itself is almost irrelevant if the sunan is pointed toward fear and defense.
Okay, so that really lays out the scope of the problem. We're trapped by our own ego's countermeasures and this collective idea of endurance. So how do we break out? How do we challenge that fundamental belief that we have no choice?
This is where we have to make the most difficult shift.
Okay.
We have to completely challenge the traditional way we even perceive the world. The normal view is easy, right? Society comes first, the world exists, and then I was born into it.
Right. Reality happened, so I believed it. I'm just reacting to a set of external facts.
Exactly. And this next step is where I think the floor really drops out from under you. Suja proposes the alternative, that the world is an illusion, a projection, a genai.
A projection of what?
A projection of your internal state. The external world is just a reflection of what's inside you.
Wait, hold on. If I actually accept that, that means my difficult boss, my critical parent, the societal pressure to succeed, those aren't really external forces. I mean, that sounds incredibly hard to swallow. My circumstances are real.
They feel real. The experiences are real. But Suja is suggesting they are internally generated projections. And this is the big aha moment.
Okay.
Think about that critical voice we all hear. You have to study hard to be a respectable person. Or you have to work weekends to pay the bills.
Sure.
If the world is a projection, then that voice isn't really coming from your parent or your teacher or society. It's being projected from within you, based on beliefs you accepted a long time ago.
So the only person telling me I have to struggle to be respectable is
Me.
you.
Yeah.
The external person or system is just the physical actor playing out the script you wrote.
That flips everything on its head.
It reverses cause and effect completely. It leads to this conclusion that is both liberating and, frankly, terrifying. I believed it, so reality happened. And if that's true, then changing your thought, your sunan, is the solution. Because there's no external thing to fight anymore.
You eliminate the internal belief that required the external struggle in the first place.
Okay, that makes sense philosophically. But now we're back to the practical side. If changing the thought is the key, what does that actually look like? Suja says we have to take 100% responsibility for our mindset. How is that different from just, positive thinking?
It's very different. Because it's a commitment to the present state, not some future goal.
Hmm.
Taking 100% responsibility here doesn't mean fixing your past self or trying to push away fear. It means committing fully to generating and maintaining a feeling of inner coziness or comfort cocochiosa right now, in this moment.
Regardless of what's happening outside.
Regardless of anything, it's a state of being, not an outcome you're trying to achieve. It's about prioritizing that internal feeling above everything else.
And the sources give some really simple examples of how to do that.
They do. Just simple activities that generate this feeling, focused purely on the bodily sensation of comfort. Running, singing, playing an instrument.
Dancing, even just simple exercises.
Right. It's about being fully present in your body's comfort and just identifying what makes you feel good now.
The responsibility is kind of twofold, isn't it? One is to actually do those things.
Yeah.
But the second part, which is harder,
Is sustaining that feeling.
yeah,
The real responsibility is to stay aware of and maintain that inner feeling of cocochiosa even when you're not doing the activity. That sustained awareness, that vigilance over your inner state. That's what keeps the comfortable thought as the dominant student that projects your reality.
and this just highlights the biggest contrast in how we live our lives.
Right.
The difference between the means and the purpose.
Absolutely.
And most of us spend, 95% of our time and energy on the means? Earning money, saving, networking.
All in the hope that those means will eventually lead to comfort.
But Suja is saying we should be spending our consciousness, our will, on the purpose itself, on generating and maintaining that comfortable mindset now.
Because when you spend all your time on the means, you're just validating that fixed idea again. You're proving to the universe that you have to struggle to get comfort.
And so you manifest more struggle, the means become the obstacle.
They do. And we can't ignore the biggest fixed idea that keeps this whole system in place. Morality.
How so?
Suj points out that the common moral value, do not cause inconvenience to others, is a central thought pattern that it completely constrains modern people.
We spend so much energy on that, constantly calculating how your actions might negatively affect someone else.
And when you're constantly filtering your life through that lens, not inconveniencing others, you are fundamentally directing your sun outward.
Toward defense,
Toward avoidance.
toward managing external perception rather than inward, toward creating your own cocochiosa.
Yeah.
It pulls you right back into that ego consciousness trap, the countermeasure loop. Wow. Okay, let's try to bring this all together for you, the listener.
Yeah.
We've had to basically dismantle the whole idea of an external reality.
It's a lot.
It is. But the key takeaway, straight from Suga Chichi, is to stop spending your time counteracting suffering. Stop putting out fires. Start focusing 100% of your will on generating and maintaining that feeling of present comfort. Cocochiosa.
You have to become the manager of your thoughts, of your simnin. You have to constantly check where that thought is directed during the day,
Is it all about avoiding inconvenience? Is it about being liked?
which just reinforces the need for endurance. Or is it dedicated to generating that core internal feeling of comfort, which actively projects a whole different reality? Because whatever you focus on, that's the reality that's going to come back to you.
It sounds so simple.
Deceptively simple.
Yeah, deceptively simple. Yet it requires this conscious moment-to-moment defiance of decades of habit and collective programming.
And to leave you with one final provocative thought that really just summarizes how radical this all is. The source material makes a striking, almost unbelievable claim. It states very clearly that it is impossible for one person to cause harm or damage to another.
That's a huge claim. I mean, for anyone who has experienced real pain caused by someone else, it's tough to hear.
It is. But if you accept this framework that the world is a projection of your sunnin, then that claim forces you to ask, what does that imply about your own personal experiences of being victimized or harmed? It forces you to rethink who the real actor is in your reality and how even the deepest suffering links back to the responsibility you hold for your own internal consciousness. If external harm is impossible, what does that make your suffering?
And that is a question worth mulling over long after this deep dive ends.